something. Let me tell you something that I figured out. Let me tell y'all something, and this is going to help a lot of people. I've been doing magic most of my life, honestly. While I was in religion, I called it, a healing bath. I would make bath bombs. I was still doing it, something for your hair, for the itching, and maybe you have some eczema, and I would make something to use on the eczema. I've been doing this my whole life. But what makes it more powerful now is that I am learning the inner workings of the way energy, frequency, and vibration creates ripples and vortexes, and I'm learning to isolate the thoughts that are going to support the vortexes that I'm creating, and to remove my attention and energy from the thoughts that are not supporting me being the best version of myself, living my best life. So now that I've gotten that part out, because that was a channeled message which was really powerful and connects for me, and maybe it connects with you too, just let me know. Let me know what's up. I need y'all to talk to me. Y'all be, I'm giving these messages to the collective, so I need you to talk back. All right, talk back, talk black to me, right? This is the blackness. This is the shadow. This is the subconscious, unconscious. We are reprogramming. And I have been put on this planet to help people do that. I reverse engineer problems to access solutions. Now, the solution to abundance, let me tell you, I went from being homeless to having everything that I wanted with everything that I teach. Okay? So I am the proof of energy when it is interfaced in a way that is going to support where you are going. But these are the main things that keep us out of the vortex of abundance. Number one, looking at everything in your life and determining the meaning of that thing you are observing to be something along the lines of, there must be something wrong with me. I'm not enough. The reason why this person broke up with me is because I wasn't enough. The reason why they haven't called me back is because they maybe don't really like talking to me, and they just pretend that they like talking to me. All of these types of thoughts where we assign meaning to things, and that meaning is typically centered around some form of not enoughness or lack. That is the complete opposite of abundance, because you are focused and honing in and ruminating on what it is you lack in your life. So I'm going to give you an example. If you look at your life and it seems in relationships that you give more than you receive, once you observe that, what meaning do you usually assign to that? So if the meaning that you are assigning to that is something that's true and you've tested it and can back it up, well, that's something that you can use to help you build yourself up to not feeling that not enoughness around that specific topic. So for me, I have existed in relationships that were not sacred energy exchanges, where I felt as if I gave more than I was receiving. Okay, I observed that, right? AAA Mafia, I can accept that, because now that I'm aware of it, I work on accepting it. Okay, I accept the fact that I tend to be too nice. I tend to be a people pleaser, and I tend to avoid conflict. I accept that the coping mechanisms that I created when I was a child and throughout life experiencing different traumas, that was the way I survived. That kept me safe. Getting to that realization takes time. It takes observing yourself in a non-judgmental way, journaling, and connecting the dots, paying attention to your dreams and the nudges that you may be getting from spirit in the form of synchronicity with numbers, colors, and any other corresponding things like animals or insects. Now, Once you have done that, that's the acceptance portion. So once you become aware of the shadow aspect, and then you accept that thing about yourself without having to judge it, without having to assign meaning to it as if you aren't enough, or you're broken beyond repair, or you're just stupid, you don't know why you do the shit you do, you're a disappointment, and all of the critical things that we tend to have loop in our mind. But the key to getting to the next step of alchemy is taking some action. So you got to say, okay, what is something that I can use as a step towards the direction I desire to be? So if, like me, your traumas have led to you being the kind of person who offers their help and their advice and people aren't asking for it, okay, that's unsolicited advice. That's giving out your energy to people who didn't ask. So you're sitting there thinking, you may even get in the space of trying to impress upon them. You may get in the space of trying to get them to see what you're saying is a solution, but they may just be wanting to vent and tell you what happened. So this is an energy leakage. And so you have to say, you know what? I retain my energy. Let me pull my energy back. I catch myself in real time and I say, you did not ask for my advice. And I just gave you 3 different stories around similar things that happened to me and the solution that I use. My apology. I'm working on that. And then you can move on from that space, but you have to accept it. You have to kind of announce it to yourself, like, okay, that I just did that, because you will correct yourself in real time. So as you reprogram your subconscious mind, you also must take action. So that is me taking action by acknowledging that and saying, I'm working on that. Apologizing to my own self first. It's really not the other person. Apologizing to myself because I said that I was going to apply myself to not give energy away in areas that will not lead to an investment for me. I just might get to a place where I'm exhausted because I'm trying to fix everybody's problems, and most people probably just want somebody just to listen to them. Now, by using the AAA Mafia, you went from awareness to acceptance, and from acceptance to an action, and from action to being able to create the alchemy around that thing. The more that you embrace yourself in this process, the more harvest you will receive from it, as long as you exist in a state of non-judgment. As soon as you start being critical and judging yourself and marinating in that energy, you actually remove yourself from the vortex, from the quantum field of abundance. Because if you don't feel like you're enough, and if one of the reasons you don't feel like you're enough is because you're leaking your energy, you're leaking out your life force by doing some of these things that I've mentioned, being codependent, a people pleaser, and all of those things, right? That's causing energy to leak, right? That's not an investment that's going to do anything for you. This is why you can talk to the same person about the same problem, give them a solution every time, and they never do nothing about it, right? They don't take the advice. It's not for you to get upset with them. It's for you to say, oh, that was meant to teach me to stop giving unsolicited advice unless they're asking. And so this is one way that you can kind of plug the hole back into yourself, right? So that your fuel is not leaking out, so that you're able to drive yourself back on over to the vortex of abundance. So once you accept these things, and now you can ask yourself, what in this moment, I've taken action, right? I admitted it, I acknowledged it, I'm aware, the alchemy is happening now. What can I do every day to support this? And just sit there and journal and just wait till your I divinity shows up and, tells you what you can do, because this is typically how it works, right? So when you release resistance to learning things about yourself that block the flow of abundance, by default, the flow of abundance begins to come into your life. So instead of trying to fix the veneer, which is the material world, to align with what it is you want, and usually, like I said, it's giving away too much energy to places where we don't have to, and it's not investing enough energy and care into our own selves. So once you do that, now you are a vibrational match to abundance, because you have committed that every single day I will remind myself that I am enough. I will take small actions until I get there, and I will eventually get there, and I will celebrate myself no matter what happens. Once you get to the point of saying, no matter what happens, I will celebrate myself. No matter what happens, before bed, I will make a list of my accomplishments, right? Accomplishments. So this is the next AAA mafia. Now we're up into, it's not even triple anymore, right? This is just the infinite A mafia steps to alchemy. And that is what allows abundance to flow. So let me tell you, the money spells and the abundance spells and the mantras, they are powerful, and that is great. But if you do not have these steps and these actions, mindsets, and the accountability, because we are being put on a timeline of free will, and in order for us to co-create the way that is in harmony with our true authentic self, we have to have accountability. And it's really easy to get on this journey and awaken and not hold yourself accountable for the things that you've said you were going to do. So what will amplify the impact is the accountability, right? So it's not just isolating the thoughts, creating healthy mindsets, reprogramming the subconscious mind, and using the infinite A mafia, because it seems like this list just keeps growing. Every time I receive a channeled message, they're giving me new steps within this transformative form of alchemy to go from one polarity to the other. Now, if this resonated with you and you feel like you just need some support for you to continue creating your best life, and you would like to have a sacred tribe who is also holding the intention to create a better version of themselves, the new you, is what we call it, your I divinity, and to be able to feel less shame about the things that have been tucked off into your shadow self. When you connect with other people who are holding a space of non-judgment, that automatically syncs you with the collective quantum field of consciousness, of this higher state of awareness. And so the sacred soul tribe that we created was something that was 6 years in the making of doing the market research, discovering what is the commonality between all of us. So if you're listening to me now, as you know, I teach about everything. Anything that I put my hands on that can improve my life, I share it with the world to improve theirs. And I know that this technique works whether you are going the more mystical path of self-deification and sovereignty, or the more Gnostic occult path, esoteric path of creating apotheosis. But both of these paths, the intention is to be a better version of you, to be the best version of yourself you can be, and to continue on that journey every day, growing in that direction no matter what happens. So in that group, everything that I talked about here, we do there. Okay. And the more you unplug your attention, right? Because our mind is a quantum computer. So the more you unplug your mind from thought forces created by thought forms, created by our subconscious, unconscious selves, you step into a higher vibrational frequency, and all of a sudden your life starts to communicate to you a different message. So the things in your life may or may not change in the beginning of participating in this soul support tribe, this soul tribe support group. But what happens is that connection alone is something that's going to support you energetically in moving in that direction. So the more this soul tribe support group, right, the more that this grows, and I know I call it so many different things because there's so many things, but the more this grows, the more people that participate in this, the more we are creating a quantum field on the planet. Yes, this is that big of not toxic positivity, not spiritual bypassing, which is what we have shifted into on the planet. It seems unintentional, but it's really intentional because this is the world consciousness. So what happens is we become the thought form, we become the hands and feet, right? We become the body in which this thought form acts itself out. So the blame and the doubt and the fear and the rejection and abandonment, I'm not enough, being critical, hypercritical, judgmental, all of these things is because we've plugged our mind into that system, into that program. And so unplugging from the matrix, if you notice, the plug was at the base of the skull. And this connects directly into the amygdala and all the other inner workings of the brain, right? Where we have memories stored and we can be easily manipulated with frequencies of a specific hertz. And I talk about that in depth in the World Consciousness Part 1 and 2 metaphysical lecture that you can get on our website, remnantsgathering.com. I recommend that because this is absolutely the foundation of the more powerful aspect of this awakening and our abilities. The more that we understand, the more powerful we become, right? So the group is open and the instructions and the rules are super simple. Be respectful. No one is really gonna, be disrespectful in there. But I say that because a lot of us been in this toxic soup for so long since we awakened. You can get triggered and kind of get into a judgy frequency about your own self, and that will project out into the world and anything that you're interfacing with. So I say that because that is the number one thing that is not tolerated is judgment and disrespect. This is a space just for us to say, look, I'm having one of those days where I'm very doubtful about my ability to do blank. Just need some encouragement and accountability to make sure that I continue moving my mindsets into a vibrational frequency that supports a higher version of me. However you might word it, but it's just, you can just kind of make a confession. Look, I'm dealing with this thing. And by doing that, you TKO the ego because you're doing the A mafia, right? You're doing the infinite A mafia. So you're accepting what you have become aware of. And now you're saying, I want to put into action something. I would like support. And I'm saying it because once I have the accountability, then it's going to be more difficult for me to betray my own self. Because I'm like, nope, you posted it. You said you was going to do it. You got to do it now. You know, you spoke it, you got to do it now. This is the person you want to be, you got to do it now. There are other people who are now invested in this thing, this positive mindset, right? So you have extra support to do it. There's no reason you cannot. The only thing getting in your way at that point is you. So we're eliminating a lot of the strategies that our ego uses to keep us out of uncertainty, right? And it's not to harm. And I wanted to do this Soul Tribe support group specifically because the mind virus Watiko and the archons, which are these parasitic beings that exist outside of the light spectrum that's visible to humans, but we can feel them, right? So awakening and the veil being down, all of these things, we're in a total different world than what we used to be. This is the second earth. I've been talking about the bifurcation and the two earths of higher frequency. So, yes, so there's that. And the only other thing is, it is going to be completely up to the participants to come on there. If you need support for something, to be able to have a positive mindset, you might ask somebody, do you have a word for me? Because someone shared with me how they were able to get over their fear of success, whatever it might be. And it's so many super intelligent starseeds in there who don't even really know how powerful and intelligent they are yet. And I'm just sitting back watching like that was phenomenal. That was amazing. I don't need to say anything, because this space is also an opportunity for us to find our voice, to share help with each other, and to be able to step into that space of projecting yourself out, being a part of something bigger than you, and sharing what you have learned. The more we do that, the less you're going to deal with some of the things that was the reason we have awakened to reset our mindsets on the planet. So this is a space also for you to shine. You're not going to have to dim your light there, like shine. And, you know, I went in other communities and I felt like I had to dim my light. I had to downplay my intelligence or what I know about spiritual things. You know, people can get real cultish, and that's the energy that is hitting the planet, which we broke down in talking about the 1260 frequency versus the 1320 frequency, which is the natural harmonic frequency of acknowledging 13 moons, right? Versus 12 moons, 12 months. So this is according to the Mayan, Ethiopian, and even some ancient Kemet and some of the Asian ancient information and how they kept up with time. So, so this automatically is so much on the back end of this, the work that we've done to put into this Sacred Soul group, so that whether you know all of this stuff or not, you're putting yourself in position to have a resonance. And so if a tuning fork is vibrating at a specific frequency, let's say heart chakra love 528 hertz, and you put another tuning fork just close enough to it, once you share that field, you can then vibrate at that frequency. And that's why we listen to motivational speakers, because when we listen to them, if we're releasing the resistance and surrender, we can begin to feel the resonance in our hearts, and it empowers us, inspires us, and motivates us, right, to be able to accomplish whatever it is that we're seeking to accomplish. So there's that. Before bed, it is the responsibility of the participants to come on and say, this is what I accomplished today. Whatever it is, how big or how small, I accomplished not talking negatively to myself about the dinner that I cooked, because most of the time I cooked it, people didn't like it. But this time, it didn't matter to me. I was proud of myself for doing it. I executed it as great as I possibly could. And no matter what nobody else thought, it was good enough for me. I accomplished that. That's just an example. There's billions of other things that you can give your own self credit for accomplishing. But a lot of times we get stuck in the pessimistic focus on the things that we lack or didn't accomplish. And that is going to set the tone for what happens on the astral realm while you're sleeping. And when you get up the next day, if you don't have a morning routine in place or mindfulness calendar to know what to do that day to be able to continue moving in the direction of having this healthier mindset and detoxing the shame and TKOing the ego, total knockout, in case you wonder what TKO is. It's a total knockout. But being able to set the tone for the day by choosing what you focus on before you fall asleep, it programs your mind for success. Because as we're falling asleep, we slip into a theta frequency, which is the frequency we're more like a sponge there. And so if you kind of visualize it like this, it's just easier to permeate into the subconscious mind during that time. So these are keys to success that I use to go from being homeless to having my dream home, having my dream life, my dream vehicle. And even though some things have yet to change, I can accept where I am and everything that is. And I know how to isolate the accomplishments outside of the chaos that sometimes life brings. So the world is not going to get less chaotic as we go on from here. This will be the reset period into 2029 because we passed another 26,000 year cycle into a new age. The galactic new year was in 2019, which is why in 2020 the whole world stopped. Right? So there will be more of those events. They will be happening closer and closer to one another, but it's happening so the collective ego can TKO. All links will be below in the description. Make sure that you share this with somebody, anybody. It don't matter who it is, because why wouldn't you share something that touched you in a special place? Unless you're codependent and you have a tendency to try to fix everybody's problems and you go sit and share this with 50 people and not do something that you know you need to do for yourself. Now that's different. Don't do that. Because I know I'm speaking to a lot of people who are codependent and who have experienced trauma like I have. So don't do that. Just share with a couple of folks. And yes, I went in detail explaining that. I sure did. It's necessary because sometimes clarity is just the willingness to give details, and that is what leads to this higher state of awareness. It's the details. They say the devil is in the details. I beg to differ. So every link that you will need will be below, and again, share it just with a couple of people. If you want to share with 50 people, go ahead, but I'm just saying, I want to make sure that I'm walking it like I talk it. And so if we're no longer giving energy away to areas that is not an investment for ourselves, we're not going to do that, right? So trying to help people who have already chosen their path and they're on a lower timeline, on a lower frequency, and they're on a different version of Earth. They're still existing in 3D all day, every day. Yes, let's let people have their path. But your heart will tell you, your I divinity will kick in and say, you know what? I know exactly who would benefit from this message. So yes, tap into the intuition and just practice using that. And yes, I think this was epic. This was epic. And I created this while I have many things going on right now that would usually knock me out of the vortex of being enough. No, we ain't doing that. Because I'm walking it like I'm talking it. And so are you. Man, your third eye has just been kissed. Peace and power.